Hi, I'm Chris. I'm an SEO consultant, and today we're talking about pagination and incremental page loading. Fun stuff. But in order for a website's pages to show up in search results, search engines have to be able to find them. And that's where pagination and incremental page loading come into play. Real quick, what is pagination? When an e-commerce page or blog page or resources section has too many products or blog posts or articles to show them all on the first page, the page will usually display 10 or 20 or 30, and then you'll click over to page 2 in order to see the next batch of 10 or 20 or 30. So let's take a look at what that looks like in action. Here's the hiking shirts category page from REI, and you can see here that they have a default of 30 items per page. And you can scroll down to the bottom, right, and click over to page 2, and then you can see the URL will change here, and you'll see another batch of 30 different hiking shirts. And if you scroll down again, you can continue to browse page 3, page 4, so on and so forth until you hit page 8. And historically, like all websites use this. It's very easy to implement, it's easy for humans to use, and it's really good for search engines as well. Search engines have no problem crawling this. All right, so as time goes on and technology advances, we have new technologies that are sort of intended to replace pagination, if you will. And there are two of them. They both fall under the umbrella of incremental page loading. The first is the load more or the show more button. Here I'm on the tag page, the Philadelphia Phillies tag page on NBCPhiladelphia.com, and you'll see a bunch of articles. And if we scroll down to the bottom, instead of pagination, we have this show more button here. And if we click that, we'll have a whole nother bunch of articles, similar to pagination, but this is executed with JavaScript. And the other version is called infinite scroll. And here's an example of that. If we scroll down quickly, we don't have to click the load more, show more button. It's just scrolling will automatically load the next batch of entries for us. The problem with these is that, let's go look at what Google says here. For example, you can implement pagination using links to new pages on your e-commerce site or using JavaScript to update the current page. Load more and infinite scroll are generally implemented using JavaScript. When crawling a site to find pages to index, Google only follows page links marked up in HTML with ahref tags. The Google crawler doesn't follow buttons unless they're marked up with ahref and doesn't trigger JavaScript to update the current page contents. So these two technologies that we just looked like are a bit of an issue because Google's not going to click this show more button. And if we click it, we can see that the next article here is thousands of runners to participate in Phillies Charities 5K. So let's go grab that URL real quick. Charities 5K. All right, we're going to reload this page, and I'll show you why this can be an issue. So if we inspect element here, we know that the next article line is about the Charities 5K. And then we do a Control F. No dice. We can't find it. And then if we show more, now we can redo our search, and there it shows up. So that JavaScript is dynamically loading this next batch of articles, and Google just said that they can't do that. The same goes for the infinite scroll. And Google can do it, but they basically said that they're not going to because of the amount of bandwidth that it takes up. But we can also look here, and in addition to the load more, look at that, we've got a little bit of pagination hidden. And that's one of the ways that you can rectify either the load more option or the infinite scroll, is to basically have pagination and hide it. So it's not visible to humans, but it is visible to search engines, and then they can still crawl that content and find all of the articles or the products or what have you. Okay, so we know that pagination is crawlable. Load more or show more, no, not so crawlable. Infinite scroll, also not so crawlable. So how do you check for these things? Well, anytime I'm doing a technical SEO audit, this is definitely something that I'm looking for. And I've had several different clients with sites that all the content couldn't get crawled because this was a crawlability issue for search engines. One thing is you can crawl the site with Screaming Frog or Sitebulb or something like that. Look for pages with URLs with page 2, page 3, page 4 in the URL. That would be an indicator that pagination is present and you may not have an issue. If you know that the site is an e-commerce site, or it has a blog, or it has a resources section, you can go look at those. And if you crawl the site and you don't find page 2, page 3, it may be an indicator that they have a load more or an infinite scroll setup. Another thing you can do is crawl the site just normally, and then also crawl the XML sitemap. And if the URL counts are off between the sitemap and the crawl, then that might be an indicator that you have pages that are present in the sitemap but can't get discovered because of incremental page loading. And then how do you fix it? Well, one option is you can implement a traditional style pagination setup, right? It's time tested, we know it works, it's pretty lightweight, and it's crawlable. I'm not a UX person, so I can't speak to which is better on that front, but again, we know that pagination is crawlable. The other option is to do like we saw here and have a hidden pagination setup on a load more or an infinite scroll page. That's crawlable, that will work. Search engines have no issue with that. The other option is basically loading all of the content in the HTML and then using CSS to create that show more button. So then basically you're just revealing it instead of dynamically loading it like you would with JavaScript. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, definitely drop them in the chat or find me on Twitter, and I'll be happy to answer those for you. Thanks.